The ship hit the canyon wall with a sound like breaking bones. Metal screamed against rock. Sparks flew into the dark air. Then, everything went still. Yuna opened her eyes slowly. Her helmet display flickered with red warning lights. She was hanging upside down in her seat, held only by the safety straps. Blood rushed to her head. Her ears rang from the impact. "Status check," she whispered to her suit's eye system. "You have minor injuries," Tejo's calm voice replied in her ear. "Bruising to your left shoulder. Small cut on your forehead. Nothing serious. But Yuna, the ship is in very bad condition." She already knew that. She could smell burning electronics. She could hear the groaning of twisted metal. Somewhere in the darkness, someone was crying out in a language she did not understand. Yuna released her straps and fell to what used to be the ceiling. She landed hard but stayed on her feet. Her training kicked in automatically. Check yourself. Check your team. Check your surroundings. Find the problem. Solve the problem. The emergency lights came on, painting everything in dim red. Yuna looked around the crashed vessel and felt her stomach drop. They had landed on a narrow ledge. Through the cracked windows, she could see nothing but darkness above and darkness below. The canyon walls stretched up and down forever. The ship was balanced on a strip of rock no wider than a small room. "Commander Velthos," Yuna called out. "Quora, Bryn, can anyone hear me?" A groan came from the front of the ship. Commander Velthos pulled himself from the pilot's seat. He was tall, over 2 meters, with 4 long arms and blue-gray skin. His large eyes blinked in confusion as he looked at the destruction around him. "What happened?" he asked. His voice was usually strong and commanding. Now it sounded weak. "Engine failure," Yuna said. She moved toward him carefully. The floor tilted at a dangerous angle. "We crashed into the canyon wall. We are on a ledge." "The canyon?" Velthos looked out the window. His 4 hands gripped the broken console. "How far down are we?" Yuna checked her suit's readings. The numbers made her feel sick. About 1.5 kilometers from the rim. About the same distance to the bottom. A high-pitched scream came from the back of the ship. Yuna ran toward it, climbing over broken equipment and fallen supplies. She found Quora trapped under a storage container. The Fethian scientist was small, barely reaching Yuna's waist. Her body was covered in a hard shell like an insect. Her many eyes were wide with terror. "Help me. Please help me," Quora cried. Yuna grabbed the container and lifted it. It was heavy, but humans were stronger than most species in the galaxy. She threw it aside and helped Quora stand. "Are you hurt?" Yuna asked. Quora's thin legs shook. "I do not think so. My shell protected me." "But Yuna, where are we? What happened to the ship?" Before Yuna could answer, a deep roar shook the vessel. Bryn emerged from the engineering section. The Gorvathi was massive, built like a walking boulder. His gray skin was thick and rough. He was the strongest being Yuna had ever met. But right now, his small eyes were filled with pure fear. "We are on a cliff," Bryn said. His voice trembled. "I can feel the empty space beneath us. I can feel it." Yuna knew about the Gorvathi. They lived underground on their home world. Open heights terrified them at a deep level, something written into their very blood. "Everyone stay calm," Yuna said. "Let us figure out what we have and what we can do." Commander Velthos joined them. All 4 of his hands were shaking. "I have checked the communication systems. They are completely destroyed. The canyon walls contain heavy minerals. They block all signals. No one knows we crashed. No one is coming to save us. What about the engine?" Yuna asked. "Can we fly out?" "The engine is gone," Bryn said. "Completely gone. We have emergency power only. It will last maybe 2 days. Life support? Yuna asked. Cora checked her personal scanner. Oxygen supplies are damaged. We have perhaps 72 hours. Maybe less. Yuna closed her eyes. She forced herself to breathe slowly. 72 hours. 3 days to live, trapped on a ledge in the middle of a 3-kilometer cliff, with no way to call for help. There must be something we can do, she said. What about climbing? The 3 aliens looked at her as if she had spoken nonsense. Climbing? Commander Velthos repeated. You mean using our bodies to move up the cliff? Yes. If we can reach the rim, our signals will work. We can call for rescue. Bryn made a sound of horror. That is impossible. We cannot climb. Our species do not climb. We have machines for such things. Our machines are broken, Yuna said. We have to use what we have. She began searching through the wreckage. She pulled aside broken panels and shattered equipment. Most of it was useless. Advanced technology turned into worthless junk by one bad crash. Then she found something. A long coil of synthetic cable, meant for securing cargo. It was thin, but very strong. Yuna pulled it out and measured it with her eyes. About 50 meters. Not enough to reach the rim, but enough to help them climb in sections. She kept searching. In the pile of debris, she found a broken antenna strut. It was a metal pole, about 2 meters long, light but solid. One end was sharp where it had snapped. Yuna held up the cable and the pole. This is what we have, she said. Commander Velthos stared at her. A rope and a stick. You want to save us with a rope and a stick? Yes. Yuna, we have traveled across the galaxy. We have technology that can reshape planets. And you think a rope and a stick will save us? Yuna looked at the 3 aliens. They were brilliant beings. Velthos had commanded ships for over a century. Cora had studied ancient civilizations across 100 worlds. Bryn could calculate complex engineering problems in his head. Together, they represented millions of years of advanced civilization. But right now, they were helpless. Their technology had failed them. Their knowledge could not help them. They had never faced a problem that could not be solved by machines. Yuna had. Humans had faced such problems for thousands of years. Before they had starships, they had wooden boats. Before they had computers, they had stone tools. Humans had climbed mountains with nothing but rope and determination. They had crossed deserts with nothing but their feet and their will to survive. On my world, Yuna said quietly, we have a saying. The right tool is the one you have with you. She walked to the edge of the ship and looked up at the cliff face. The rock was rough and broken, full of cracks and ledges. It would be difficult. It would be dangerous. But it was not impossible. I have a plan, she said. I can get us to the top. But you will have to trust me. You will have to do things you have never done before. You will have to use your bodies in ways your species forgot long ago. The 3 aliens exchanged looks. Fear and doubt filled their eyes. What choice do we have? Cora asked softly. None, Yuna admitted. We climb, or we die. Commander Velthos straightened his tall body. He was a commander. He made decisions. Very well, human. Show us your plan. Show us what a rope and a stick can do. Yuna nodded. She began tying a loop in one end of the cable. Her fingers moved with practiced ease. She had learned these knots as a child, sitting on her grandmother's knee. She never imagined she would use them to save alien lives on a distant moon. But that was the thing about humans. They always found a way. Even when everything looked hopeless. Even when all the technology failed. Even when they had nothing but a rope and a stick. The aliens watched her work. They did not understand what she was doing. They did not understand how such simple things could possibly help. But they watched, because she was their only hope. Outside the broken ship, the canyon waited. 3 kilometers of vertical rock, cold and merciless. Somewhere far above, the rim waited under an alien sky. Yuna finished her knot and tested it with a sharp pull. It held firm. "We start climbing at first light," she said. "Rest now. Eat, if you can. Tomorrow, we begin the longest journey of your lives." The aliens said nothing. They simply stared at the human and her primitive tools, wondering how such a small creature from such a violent world could possibly save them all. But somewhere deep inside, they began to hope. Because when Yuna spoke, they believed her. And belief, as humans knew better than anyone, was the first step toward survival. The first light of Vithras 4 came slowly. The sun was small and distant, casting weak orange rays into the canyon. The shadows retreated like frightened animals. The true size of their prison became clear. Yuna stood at the edge of the crashed ship and looked up. The cliff face rose above them, endless and terrible. The rock was dark gray, broken by cracks and small ledges. Wind whistled through the canyon like a living thing. Behind her, the aliens gathered. None of them had slept well. Korra's many eyes were dim with exhaustion. Bryn kept his gaze fixed on the floor, refusing to look at the empty space around them. Even Commander Velthos, who had seen 100 worlds, looked smaller somehow. "Before we begin," Yuna said, "I need to teach you some things." "Teach us?" Velthos asked. "We are scientists and explorers. We have knowledge that spans thousands of years." "Not this kind of knowledge," Yuna said. She held up the rope. "Do you know what this is?" "A cable for securing cargo," Korra answered. "Standard equipment on survey vessels. Today, it is a lifeline. It will connect us to each other. It will catch us if we fall. It will help us climb places we cannot climb alone." Yuna began forming a loop in the rope. This is called a knot. It is a way of shaping the rope so it holds tight under pressure. The aliens watched her fingers move. Their expressions were confused. "I do not understand," Bryn said. "Why does the rope not simply hold? Why must you shape it?" Yuna paused. She had never thought about it before. Knots were so natural to her, so basic. Every human child learned them. "A straight rope will slip," she explained. "But when you twist it like this, it grips itself. The harder you pull, the tighter it holds." She demonstrated, pulling the knot with all her strength. It did not move. "Remarkable," Korra whispered. "Such simple mechanics. Why did we never think of this?" "Because you never needed to," Yuna said. "Your species had machines to hold things. You had technology. You forgot the old ways." She moved to the broken antenna strut, the stick. "And this will be our anchor. Watch." She walked to a crack in the rock near the ship. The crack was narrow but deep. Yuna wedged the metal pole into it and pushed hard. The pole locked into place. "Now I can tie the rope to it," she said, demonstrating. "The pole holds the rope. The rope holds us. Simple." "Simple," Velthos repeated. But his voice held wonder, not dismissal. "Now comes the hard part," Yuna said. "I need to teach you how to climb." She looked at each of them. 3 aliens from 3 different worlds. Each one had a body designed for their own environment. None of them had ever faced a challenge like this. "Commander Velthos," she said, "come here." The tall Nerelian approached. His forearms hung at his sides, graceful but uncertain. "You have 4 hands," Yuna said. "That is an advantage. But you need to learn how to grip." She took one of his hands. The fingers were long and thin, designed for delicate work. She pressed his hand against the rock face. "Feel that?" she asked. "Feel how rough the surface is?" You need to find places where your fingers can hook in. Small edges, little bumps, anything you can grab. Velthos tried. His fingers searched the rock. Like this? Too gentle. You need to grip hard. Humans say, hold on for your life. It means grab something as if letting go would kill you, because letting go will kill us. Velthos said quietly, yes, exactly. She worked with him for several minutes. The commander was a fast learner, but his body resisted. His species had never gripped anything hard. Their hands were made for touching screens and pressing buttons. The concept of using muscles to hold tight was foreign. Cora, your turn, Una called. The small Fethian approached nervously. Her legs were thin as sticks. The shell-covered body seemed fragile. I am not strong, Cora said. My species was never strong. We evolved on a world with very weak gravity. We do not have muscles like you. You do not need strength, Una said. You need balance. You are light. That is an advantage. You can stand on ledges that would crumble under my weight. You can fit into cracks that I cannot enter. She showed Cora how to place her feet carefully, how to test each foothold before trusting it. The scientist was clumsy at first, but she began to understand. Think of it like walking, Una said, but on a wall instead of a floor. My brain does not accept this, Cora said. Every instinct tells me this is wrong. Your instincts evolved on a flat world. We are not on your world anymore. We are here. And here we climb. Finally, she turned to Bryn. The massive Gorvathy had not moved from his spot near the ship. His eyes were closed. His thick hands were pressed against the metal floor. Bryn, Una said softly, I need you to look up. I cannot, he groaned. The emptiness. It pulls at me. My people were not made for such places. Una approached him slowly. She knelt beside him, making herself small. Tell me about your home world. Bryn opened his eyes slightly. Gorvath. A world of caves and tunnels. We live deep underground, where the stone wraps around us like a blanket. We never see the sky. We never feel the open air. You feel safe when something solid is above you. Yes, always. Una nodded. When we climb, the rock will be in front of you. Press your face against it. Let it fill your vision. Pretend you are crawling through a tunnel. The cliff face is your ceiling. That is a trick, Bryn said. The emptiness is still there. Yes, it is a trick. But tricks can save lives. Una placed her hand on his massive arm. On my world, we have a thing called fear. Everyone feels it. But we learned that fear does not have to control us. We can feel afraid and still act. How? Breathing. When fear comes, your body forgets to breathe properly. Your chest gets tight. Your heart races. But if you control your breath, you can control your fear. She demonstrated, breathing in slowly through her nose, out through her mouth. Try it. Bryn tried. His first breaths were shaky and fast. But slowly, with Una counting quietly, he began to calm. This is strange, he said. My people have medicine for fear. Chemical treatments. We never thought to use breath. Breath is always with you, Una said. Medicine can run out. Breath cannot. She spent an hour with them, teaching basic techniques. How to place hands and feet. How to distribute weight. How to move one limb at a time while keeping 3 points of contact with the rock. How to rest in difficult positions. How to trust the rope. The aliens struggled. They made mistakes. Velthos gripped too gently and slipped. Cora moved too fast and lost her balance. Bryn froze whenever he looked down. But slowly, they began to learn. In my species' history, Commander Velthos said during a rest period, we faced many challenges. We built great cities. We conquered disease. We traveled to other stars. But we never faced a challenge like this. We never had to use our bodies as tools. That is the difference between our species, Una said. Humans evolved on a dangerous world. We had predators trying to eat us. We had earthquakes and floods and fires. We had to climb trees to escape lions. We had to swim rivers to find food. Our bodies remember all of that. Death world, Cora said quietly. The word hung in the air. What? Una asked. That is what the galactic community calls Earth, a death world. A planet so dangerous that nothing should be able to live there. And yet, humans not only lived, you thrived. You became the most adaptable species anyone has ever seen. Una had heard the term before. She never liked it. Earth was her home. It was not death. It was life in all its wild and beautiful forms. Perhaps, she said. But today, that dangerous world might save your lives. Are you ready to try the real thing? The aliens looked at the cliff face. Fear still filled their eyes. But something else was there now. A small spark of hope. A tiny belief that maybe, just maybe, they could do this. We are ready, Commander Veltha said. Why? Una tied the rope around her waist. She picked up the metal pole. I will go first. I will find the path and set anchors. You will follow, one at a time. Remember everything I taught you. She approached the cliff and began to climb. Her hands found holds easily. Her feet knew where to step. Her body moved with the confidence of thousands of generations of human climbers. Below her, the aliens watched. They saw a small creature from a violent world, moving up the impossible wall as if she had done it 1,000 times. And in a way, she had. Not her personally, but her ancestors, her species. The long chain of humans who had climbed every mountain, crossed every desert, survived every disaster. Una was not just climbing for herself. She was climbing with the strength of every human who had ever refused to give up. She reached a ledge, 10 meters up, and secured the first anchor. The pole wedged into a crack. The rope hung down like a lifeline. Velthos, she called. You are next. Take the rope. Feel it in your hands. Trust it. The commander grabbed the rope. His forearms shook, but he began to climb. The impossible rescue had begun. They had been climbing for 6 hours. Every muscle in Una's body screamed for rest. Her fingers were raw from gripping stone. Her legs trembled with each step. But she kept moving, because stopping meant dying. The team had covered almost 500 meters, 1/3 of the way to the rim. The crash ship below them looked like a toy now, a tiny broken thing on a narrow ledge. Above them, the cliff stretched on forever. Una found a wide ledge and called for a rest. One by one, the aliens joined her. They collapsed against the rock wall, breathing hard. Commander Velthos looked at his 4 hands. The skin was torn and bleeding. Blue blood dripped onto the stone. I have never felt pain like this, he admitted. My hands were made for art and science. Not for this. Pain means you are alive, Una said. She checked his wounds and wrapped them with strips of cloth from her suit lining. Keep the wounds covered. Keep climbing. Cora sat very still, her many eyes half closed. How far have we come? About 500 meters. And how far must we still go? About 1,000 meters. The Fethian made a small sound of despair. I do not think I can do this. Una knelt beside her. You already did it. 500 meters. You climbed 500 meters of vertical rock. Your species has never done anything like this in its entire history. You are already doing the impossible. Cora looked at her with something like wonder. You truly believe we can succeed? I believe we have to try. Giving up is not an option. Bren sat apart from the others, his back pressed hard against the cliff wall. He had not opened his eyes for the last 100 meters. He climbed entirely by feel, following the rope, trusting Yuna's voice to guide him. "How are you doing?" Yuna asked him. "I'm not looking," Bren said. His voice was rough with fear. "If I look, I will fall. So I do not look. I just climb. That is brave." "That is terror," he corrected. "I have never been so afraid. But I remembered what you said. Fear does not have to control me. So I breathe. I climb. I do not look." Yuna smiled. Such a simple technique, and yet none of these advanced species had ever discovered it. They had medicine for fear. They had technology to avoid danger. But they had never learned to face fear directly, to feel it and move through it. "Rest for 10 minutes, she said. "Then we continue." She moved to the edge of the ledge and studied the route above. The cliff face changed ear. The rock became smoother, with fewer handholds. A long vertical crack ran up the wall, maybe wide enough to climb inside. "Tai-ho," she whispered to her suit eye. "What do you see?" "The rock composition changes above us," Taeho replied in her ear. "Harder mineral. Fewer natural holds. That crack appears to be your best route. But there is something else." "What?" "Weather sensors are detecting changes. A storm system is approaching from the east. Arrival time approximately 4 hours." Yuna's heart sank. A storm on this moon would be deadly. The temperature would drop far below what the aliens could survive. The wind would tear them off the cliff face. "We need to move faster," she muttered. She returned to the group. "Rest time is over. We have a problem." The aliens looked at her with exhausted eyes. "A storm is coming," Yuna said. "We have 4 hours to find shelter or reach the rim. We must move faster." "Faster?" Velthos asked. "We can barely move at all." "Then we learn to move better. Follow me." She led them to the base of the vertical crack. It was a narrow opening in the rock, running straight up like a wound. Yuna examined it carefully. "This is called a chimney," she said. "We climb inside it. We press our backs against one wall and our feet against the other. We move up by pushing with our legs." "That sounds impossible," Cora said. "It is called a chimney climb. Humans have done it for thousands of years." Yuna entered the crack and demonstrated. Her back pressed against one wall. Her feet pressed against the opposite wall. She pushed up, moving slowly but steadily. "Come," she called down. "One at a time." Cora went first. Her small body fit easily into the crack. She pressed her shell against the rock and pushed with her thin legs. To her amazement, she moved upward. "This works," she exclaimed. "It actually works. Keep going. Do not stop." Velthos came next. His tall body was awkward in the narrow space, but his 4 arms helped him stabilize. He learned to use 2 arms on each wall, spreading his grip. Bryn was the hardest. The big Gorvathy barely fit into the crack. But once inside, something changed. The walls pressed against him on both sides. Stone above, stone below, stone all around. "This is like a tunnel," Bryn said. Wonder filled his voice. "I cannot see the empty space. I can only feel the rock." "Exactly," Yuna said. "Now climb." They moved faster through the chimney. The tight space was uncomfortable, but it was also safer. No one could fall far with walls pressing in on all sides. They climbed for another hour. 200 meters. 300. The crack began to widen, forcing them back onto the open face. But they had gained valuable ground. Then disaster struck. Yuna was searching for the next anchor point when she heard a sound. A deep rumbling. The rock beneath her began to shake. "Rock slide!" She screamed. Press against the wall. Hold on. Stones began falling from above. Small ones at first, then larger. A chunk of rock the size of her head bounced past her shoulder. Another struck the cliff face beside Velthos, spraying fragments. The aliens panicked. Cora screamed. Bryn roared. Even Commander Velthos lost his grip for a terrible moment. Hold on. Una shouted again. Do not move. Let it pass. She pressed herself flat against the rock, making herself as small as possible. Stones rattled around her. Dust filled the air. The noise was overwhelming. Then, as suddenly as it started, the rock slide stopped. Silence returned. Una coughed and looked around. Everyone was still there. No one had fallen, but their route had changed. The path is blocked, Velthos said. He pointed to where a massive boulder now sat on the ledge they had been heading toward. We cannot continue that way. Una studied the cliff face. The rock slide had destroyed their planned route, but it had also created new features, new cracks, new ledges, new possibilities. She took the metal pole and began tapping the rock around her. Tap, tap. She listened carefully to each sound. What are you doing? Cora asked. My grandmother taught me this, Una said. When you tap solid rock, it makes a sharp sound. When you tap loose rock, it sounds hollow. You learn to hear the difference. She tapped her way across the cliff face, testing. Here, solid. There, hollow. This ledge was safe. That one would crumble. There, she said finally. She pointed to a new route, curving around the blocked section. We go this way. It is longer but safer. How can you possibly know that? Velthos asked. Because humans have been reading rocks for 100,000 years. Before we could write, before we could build, we knew how to listen to stone. It is in our blood. She began climbing the new route. The aliens followed, trusting her completely now. The rock slide had nearly killed them, but the human had found a way forward. As they climbed, Commander Velthos began recording notes on his suit computer. He documented everything Una did, every technique, every decision, every moment of human instinct. What are you doing? Una asked during a brief rest. Recording history, Velthos said. When we return to civilization, I will share this with every species in the galaxy. The humans call themselves primitive compared to us. They think they are behind because their technology is younger. But they have something we lost. Something we forgot in our rush to build machines. What is that? Connection to the physical world. Knowledge of rock and rope and balance. The wisdom of bodies that evolved to survive anything. He looked at her with deep respect. We see ourselves as the teachers of the galaxy. But today, you are teaching us. And we are learning that we have much to learn. The storm clouds gathered in the east. Dark shapes against the orange sky. Time was running out. Una pushed harder. Her body was failing, but her spirit was strong. Behind her, 3 aliens from advanced civilizations climbed a cliff using nothing but hands and feet and rope. They had started as strangers. Now they were something more. A team. A unit bound by shared struggle. The rope connected them physically. But something else connected them too. Trust. The simple human concept of putting your life in another's hands. 100 meters to that cave, Una called out, pointing to a dark opening in the cliff face above them. That is our shelter from the storm. 100 meters. We can do this. The aliens did not answer. They simply climbed, because that was what Una had taught them to do. When everything seems impossible, you stop thinking about the whole journey. You focus on the next handhold, the next step, the next meter. And meter by meter, they rose towards survival. The storm hit, just as they reached the cave. Wind screamed through the canyon like a dying animal. Ice and dust filled the air, turning the world into a white noise. Temperature dropped so fast that Yuna's suit began flashing warnings. They crawled into the cave one by one. It was small, barely large enough for all of them, but it protected them from the worst of the wind. Yuna helped each alien inside, then sealed the entrance as best she could with loose stones. "Everyone's status check," she called out. "Velthus? My heating system is failing," the commander reported. His voice was already weaker. "Narelians cannot produce body heat. We rely entirely on technology. Without it, I will die within hours. Quora." The Fethian was curled into a tight ball, her shell pulled close around her body. "Same problem. My species evolved on a warm world. We have no way to survive cold temperatures. My suit is already below minimum levels. Bryn?" The massive Gorvathy was shaking violently. "My people live deep underground, where temperature is always stable. We never developed resistance to extremes. I am freezing." Yuna checked her own suit. Her heating system was still working, but she had far less power than she needed. Not enough to warm everyone. Not even close, but humans were different. Humans came from Earth, where temperatures ranged from burning deserts to frozen wastelands. The human body could survive conditions that would kill any of these aliens. It could generate heat. It could adapt. She made her decision without hesitation. "I am going to remove parts of my suit," she announced. The aliens stared at her. "You cannot," Velthos said. "You will freeze." "No, I will get cold, but I will survive." Humans have a feature called thermoregulation. Our bodies can adjust to temperature changes. We shiver to create warmth. We have fat layers for insulation. I can survive cold that would kill you. She began removing the heating panels from her suit. They were flat pieces of technology that produced warmth. She handed one to Quora. "Wrap this around yourself. Put it against your core. Yuna, this is your equipment. And now it is yours. Take it." She gave another panel to Velthos and another to Bryn. She stripped her suit down to its basic protective layer. The cold hit her immediately. It was like being plunged into ice water. Her body responded automatically, blood vessels tightening, muscles beginning to shake. But she was alive. She would stay alive. "Now we need to share warmth," she said. "Come closer. All of you." The aliens hesitated. Physical contact between species was uncommon in the galaxy. Most cultures kept distance between individuals. "On my world," Yuna explained through chattering teeth, "humans learned long ago that body heat can be shared. When we are cold, we press together. 2 bodies stay warmer than 1. 4 bodies stay warmer than 2. She took the rope and began wrapping it around all of them, binding them together in a tight group. It was awkward. Quora's shell pressed against Yuna's arm. Velthus's 4 hands fumbled for positions. Bryn's massive body made it hard to find balance, but slowly they figured it out. They became a single unit, pressed together, sharing what little warmth they had. "This is called the buddy system," Yuna said. "Human children learn it when they go camping. Stay together. Look out for each other. Never let anyone fall behind." "We have no such concept," Quora whispered. "In my species, each individual survives alone. We never thought to rely on others for something as basic as warmth. That is the human way. We are weak alone. Together, we are strong." The storm raged outside. Hours passed. The cold grew worse. Yuna felt herself slipping toward dangerous levels of hypothermia. Her body shook constantly now. Her thoughts became slow and foggy, but the aliens were surviving. Her sacrifice was working. "Talk to me," Bryn said suddenly. "Tell me something, anything. I need to hear voices or the fear will take me. Yuna understood. In the dark and cold, silence became an enemy. The mind needed something to hold on to. I will tell you a story, she said. Her voice was weak but steady. A story from my world. From long, long ago. She told them about her grandmother, a woman who had lived in the mountains in a small village where technology was rare. Her grandmother had walked through blizzards to bring medicine to sick neighbors. She had climbed frozen waterfalls to rescue lost goats. She had survived 2 avalanches by digging shelters in the snow. She taught me everything, Yuna said. How to tie knots, how to read weather, how to keep warm when the world wants you dead. She said that survival is not about being the strongest. It is about being stubborn, about refusing to quit. She sounds like an amazing person, Cora said. She was. She died when I was young, but she gave me something that never died. She gave me the belief that I could survive anything as long as I kept trying. Velthus was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. On my world, we have a concept called the legacy of mind. We believe that knowledge is the greatest gift one generation can give to the next. We preserve our thoughts in perfect digital form. We think this makes us immortal. He paused. But I see now that you humans have something different. You do not just pass down knowledge. You pass down courage. You pass down the memory of struggle. You teach your children how to face the impossible by showing them how you faced it yourselves. That is our legacy, Yuna agreed. Stories of survival. Memories of the ancestors who refused to die. Bryn spoke next. His deep voice rumbled in the darkness. I have been wrong about humans. My people tell tales of the Death World species. The violent ones. The dangerous ones. We feared you because you could survive what would kill us. But now I understand. You are not dangerous because you want to hurt others. You are dangerous because you will never stop fighting to protect the ones you care about. Tears froze on Yuna's cheeks. We are all those things, she admitted. Humans can be violent. We have done terrible things. But we can also love. We can sacrifice. We can give everything we have to save a stranger. You are doing that now, Cora said softly. You are dying for us. I am not dying. I am just cold. There is a difference. But even as she said it, Yuna felt her body weakening. The shaking had slowed. That was a bad sign. It meant her body was running out of energy to generate heat. She closed her eyes. Just for a moment. Just to rest out when she opened them again. The storm had stopped. Weak light filtered into the cave. She did not know how much time had passed. Yuna! Cora's voice was urgent. She is awake. She is awake. Faces crowded around her. 3 aliens looking at her with desperate concern. How long was I out? Yuna asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. Several hours, Velthos said. We thought we had lost you. Your body temperature dropped to dangerous levels. We did not know what to do. What did you do? Bryn answered. We held you tighter. We wrapped you in everything we had. Cora lay on top of you to keep you warm. I blocked the entrance with my body to stop the wind. You kept me alive, Yuna said. You kept us alive first, Velthos replied. We only did what you taught us. Stay together. Share warmth. Never let anyone fall behind. Yuna tried to stand. Her legs collapsed beneath her. She was too weak. The night had taken too much from her body. I cannot climb, she realized. The words hurt more than the cold. I cannot move. Then we will carry you, Velthos said simply. That is impossible. I am too heavy. The cliff is too dangerous. You taught us that impossible is just a word, Cora said. You taught us to climb. You taught us to survive. Now let us teach you something. Let us show you that we learned our lessons well. Bryn moved forward. His massive arms lifted Yuna as if she weighed nothing. You are small, he said. Smaller than you think. I can carry you and still climb. But the heights. Your fear. My fear is still there, Bryn admitted. But you taught me that fear does not control me. I breathe. I climb. I do not look down. And I carry my friend to safety. Friend. The word hit Yuna harder than the cold ever had. She had never expected to hear an alien call her that. The storm has passed, Velthos said. We have perhaps 12 hours before another one comes. It is enough time to reach the rim, but only if we leave now. Yuna looked at the three aliens. They were injured and exhausted. They were terrified of the climb ahead, but their eyes held something new: determination, courage, the spark that humans called the will to survive. She had given them that spark. Now they were using it to save her. Okay, she whispered. Let us finish this, together. Bryn secured Yuna to his back with the rope. Quora checked the knots, copying exactly what she had seen Yuna do. Velthos picked up the metal pole and moved to the cave entrance. I will lead, the commander said. I watched how you found the route. I will find it for us. They stepped out of the cave into the cold morning air. Above them, the cliff face rose toward the sky. 500 meters to go. 500 meters between them and survival. The aliens began to climb, carrying their human friend toward the light. The last 500 meters were the hardest journey any of them had ever made. Commander Velthos led the way, tapping the rock with the metal pole just as he had seen Yuna do. His forehands searched for holds, gripping with strength he never knew he had. Behind him, Bryn climbed with Yuna strapped to his back, her head resting against his massive shoulder. Quora followed last, her small body moving carefully from hold to hold. They did not speak. They did not need to. Each of them knew what they had to do. Climb. Keep moving. Do not stop until they reached the Yuna drifted in and out of consciousness. Sometimes she was aware of the movement, the scraping of Bryn's hands on rock, the whistle of wind past her ears. Other times she fell into strange dreams where she was back on Earth, climbing mountains with her grandmother, listening to the old woman's steady voice. Never give up, her grandmother said in the dream. The mountain does not care if you are tired. The cold does not care if you are scared. You keep climbing until you reach the top, or until you cannot climb anymore. I cannot climb anymore, Yuna whispered. Then let others climb for you. That is also survival. Knowing when to accept help. She woke to Quora's voice. Yuna, can you hear me? We are almost there. I can see the rim. Yuna opened her eyes. The light was brighter here. The sky was visible above them, pale orange with streaks of white cloud. The edge of the cliff was less than 50 meters away. You made it, she breathed. We are not there yet, Bryn said. His voice was strained from the effort of carrying her, but there was pride in it too. But we will be, soon. The final stretch was almost vertical. Pure cliff face with few holds. Velthos studied it for a long moment, then began hammering the metal pole into a crack. I will set an anchor here, he said. Then I will climb to the top and secure the rope. Bryn, you will carry Yuna up. Quora will follow. That is exactly what I would have done, Yuna said weakly. She smiled. You learned well. Velthos looked at her with his large, serious eyes. I had a good teacher. He began the final climb. His forearms worked together in perfect coordination. Each movement was careful and precise. When he slipped, he caught himself. When he grew tired, he breathed and kept going. The aliens watching from below did not know it. But they were witnessing something historic. A Narration commander, a species known for their mental achievements, was climbing a cliff with nothing but his own body. No machines, no technology, just flesh and stone and determination. Velthos reached the top. He pulled himself over the edge and lay on flat ground for a moment, breathing hard. Then he stood and began securing the rope to a large rock. "The rope is ready," he called down. "Bryn, begin your ascent." Bryn grabbed the rope with one hand. His other arm held Una against his back. He began to climb, using the rope to help pull himself upward. His legs pushed against the rock. His muscles screamed with effort. The fear was still there. It would always be there. But Bryn had learned something important during this journey. Fear was just a feeling. It was not a wall. It was not a cage. He could feel the fear and still move through it. He climbed meter by meter, handhold by handhold. The rope cut into his palm. The weight of Una pulled at his shoulders. But he kept going because giving up was not an option. Halfway up, his foot slipped. For one terrible moment, he fell. His body dropped. His stomach lurched with terror. Then the rope caught him. Velthos had braced himself above, holding the line tight. The fall stopped after less than a meter. "I have you," Velthos called. "Rest, then continue." Bryn hung there for a moment, breathing. The empty space yawned beneath him. He could feel it trying to pull him down, trying to make him let go. He closed his eyes. He breathed in slowly. He breathed out. Then he found his grip again and kept climbing. When he reached the top, Velthos helped pull him over the edge. Bryn collapsed on the flat ground, Una still tied to his back. They lay there together, looking up at the sky. "We did it," Bryn said. He was crying. He had not cried since he was very young. But now, tears of relief and joy ran down his rough gray face. "We really did it." Quora reached the top a few minutes later. She was the last one up, moving carefully and slowly, just as Una had taught her. When she pulled herself over the edge, she immediately ran to check on Una. "Her temperature is rising," Quora reported. "She's going to be okay. She just needs warmth and rest." Velthos activated his communication device. Up here, away from the mineral-rich canyon walls, the signal went through immediately. "Galactic Survey Command. This is Commander Velthos of Survey Team 7. We have survived emergency landing. Requesting immediate medical evacuation. We have one human casualty in need of thermal treatment." The response came within seconds. "Survey Team 7, we receive you. Rescue vessels launching now. Estimated arrival time 40 minutes. Please hold your position." 40 minutes. After everything they had been through, 40 minutes felt like nothing at all. They gathered around Una, wrapping her in their own bodies, sharing whatever warmth they could. It was the buddy system, the human technique for survival. It felt natural now, after everything they had experienced. Una opened her eyes and looked at the three faces around her. "We made it?" "We made it," Velthos confirmed. "The rope and stick?" Quora held them up. The rope was frayed and worn. The metal pole was bent and scratched. Simple tools, nearly destroyed by the climb. But they had served their purpose. "We are keeping them," Quora said, "as artifacts. Evidence of what humans can do with nothing but their hands and their will." Una laughed. It was a weak sound, but it was real. "My grandmother would be proud." The rescue ship arrived exactly on time. It descended from the sky like a silver bird, graceful and silent. Medical teams rushed out, surrounding Una with equipment and scanners. But when they tried to take her away, the aliens stopped them. "Wait," Velthos said. He turned to the rescue team leader. "Before you take her, you need to understand something. This human saved our lives. She taught us how to survive when all our technology failed. She nearly died giving us her warmth. She is the reason we are standing here today. The team leader looked confused. She's just one human. You are three highly valued members of the galactic community. She did her duty. No, Bryn said firmly. She did more than duty. She showed us what it means to be human. And now I understand why the galaxy fears her species. It is not because they are violent or dangerous. It is because they will never stop fighting for the ones they love. Even when they have nothing. Even when all hope is gone. They find a way. The rescue team exchanged uncertain glances. They had never heard aliens speak about a human like this. Cora stepped forward. Take good care of her. She is precious. More precious than any of us realized. They loaded Yuna onto a stretcher, but they did not simply carry her aboard. Instead, Bryn insisted on helping. He fashioned a carrying frame from rope and stick, copying what he had seen in his mind. The first piece of human-style improvised technology ever made by alien hands. The rescue team was bewildered. What is that? The leader asked. That, Commander Velta said with something like awe in his voice, is what she taught us. It is called making do. It is called using what you have. It is called being human. They carried Yuna aboard the ship using the improvised stretcher. It was clumsy and rough, nothing like the advanced medical equipment available. But it meant something. It was proof that the aliens had learned Dot as the ship rose into the sky, leaving the canyon behind forever. Commander Veltos sat beside Yuna's bed and began writing his official report. Mission conclusion, he dictated. Survey Team 7 successfully evacuated from Vithras 4 following emergency landing. All crew members survived. Mission was saved not by advanced technology or superior alien knowledge. Mission was saved by a rope, a stick, and the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Yuna smiled in her sleep. Outside the ship's window, the canyon grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared. 3 kilometers of vertical rock. An impossible climb. A journey that should have killed them all. But humans did not believe in impossible. And now, thanks to one small human woman, 3 aliens knew that secret too. Somewhere in the galaxy, the story would spread. Alien species would hear about the rope and the stick. They would hear about the human who gave her warmth to save others. They would hear about the climb that should have been impossible. And slowly, across 1,000 worlds, the fear of humans would begin to change. It would become something new. Something better. Respect. Admiration. And maybe, just maybe, the beginning of understanding. The ship flew toward the stars. Behind it, on a narrow ledge deep in a canyon on a forgotten moon, a crashed vessel waited in silence. It would become a monument someday, a reminder of the day when primitive human wisdom saved lives that all the technology in the galaxy could not. And in her warm bed aboard the rescue ship, Yuna dreamed of mountains. She dreamed of her grandmother's voice. And she dreamed of the 3 friends she had made by teaching them the oldest human lesson of all. When everything else fails, you keep going. You adapt. You survive. That is what it means to be human. That is what it will always mean.